Hello, this is Sharon. Starting from this tutorial, we'll start a new session about combining queries with set operators. So before we look at any program, I'm going to introduce you an overview for this session. So whereas join operations combine tables horizontally, set operations combine tables vertically. So when working with two or more query results, Proc SQL can combine the results of two or more queries in various ways. So by using the following set operators, including union, except, intercept, and outer union. And the operator is used between the two queries. For example, select columns from table, and then in between there is a set operator, and then select column from table followed by semicolon. So we need to place a semicolon after the last select statement only. And set operators combine columns from two queries based on their position in the referenced tables without regard to the individual column names. And the columns in the same relative position in the two queries must have the same data types. And the column names of the tables in the first query become the column tables of the output table. So the following optional keywords give you more control over set operations. First one is all. All does not suppress duplicate rows. So when the keyword all is specified, Proc SQL does not make a second pass through the data to eliminate the duplicate rows. Thus, use all is more efficient than not using it. All is not allowed with the outer union operator. And corresponding CORR overlays columns that have the same name in both tables. When used with except, intercept, and union, CORR suppresses columns that are not in both tables. Alright, so let's start with the program. First, I use Proc import to import two Excel data set to be used for later program. So one is this Excel data file, and then the output SAS data set, I call it math. And then the second Excel data file is this one, and then the output SAS data set, I call it read. Alright, so let's run the first import procedure, and let's look at the data set math. So this data set contains four columns: name, which is student name, and gender, student gender, and stu ID is the student ID, and my score is the my score for each student. Let's look at the data. So total it has 4 rows. For student named as Tim, it has 2 rows, 2 corresponding rows. So we can see those 2 rows are exactly the same. So those are the duplicate rows. And for Sharon, we have 1 record, and for Mike, we have 1 record as well. All right. So let's run the second import procedure. So in this data set, read, it has 4 variables, and student name, student gender, student ID, and also score for reading. And it has 3 rows. So student team contain 1 row, and Sharon and Mike, each one of them contain 1 row as well. All right. So first, let's look at the union operator. So we can use union operator to produce unique rows from both queries. The union operator combines 2 query results. It produces all the unique rows that result from both queries. That is, it returns a row if it occurs in the first table. the second, or both. Union does not return duplicate rows. If a row occurs more than once, then only one occurrence is returned. All right. So let's look at the program. So first, I use two proc print procedure to print out the original table or original data set. One is math and another one is read. I print out both input tables so we can compare the original table with the query results from SQL program. Okay, then let's look at the first SQL program. I give it title as union, means I use union operator to join the two queries. And for the first query, I want to select all the variable from table math. And then for the second query, I want to select all the column from read table. And also I use union operator to combine the two query results. All right. And also you can use all keyword to request that duplicate rows remain in the output. So in the second SQL program, I change title to union all, means I use union operator and also the all keyword. So the difference is here, I put union all instead of union for this first SQL program. All right. So let me run this for procedure, two proc prints and the two proc SQL to have all the tables and output on the same page for easy comparison. Now let's look at the result window. So there are 4 tables listed here. The first 2 is from input tables, and then the last 2 is the query result table. So let's look at the first query result table using a union set operator alone. So it has 4 columns, has student name, gender, student ID, and then last column, the name is math score. Because when you use set operator to combine queries, the column name from the first query will be the column name for the result table. So that's why here is the math score for this column as its column name. All right, and then let's look at the rows or student included in this result table. So the first 2 rows are corresponding to student Mike. That is because when we use a union operator, so all the unique rows from both input table will get into the query results. All right, so for the math table, it contains 1 row and the math score is 89. And then for the read table, it contains a read score as 80. So these 2 rows will consider 2 distinct rows, and both rows will get into this query result table. And then for Sharon has a math score as 90, and also accidentally has a read score as 90. But when use a set operator to combine the 2 queries, it only combines the columns using the position instead of column names. So that's why when SQL process this, for the same position, Sharon has the same values. So that's why I consider Sharon this row from math table and this row from a read table, SQL considered as a duplicate row. That's why there is only 1 row for Sharon gets into this query result. And also for Tim and Indeed, there are 2 exactly same rows included in the math table. So that's why only 1 row for Tim get into this query result from the math table, which is this one. And also another record for Tim from the read table get into this query result as well. All right. So lastly, this table I specified the all keyword So that means we will have all the rows from both original tables. So let's look at the team. Team has 2 rows, so those 2 from the math table, and also have another row from the read table here. The read score is 95. And also for Sharon, it has one from math table, and it has another one from read table. And also for Mike, again, it has 2 records from both tables. All right. So let's go back to the code window. So this is it for this tutorial. This tutorial, we talk about the overview for combining queries with set operators, as well as using the union operator to produce unique rows from both queries. And also you can use all keywords to request that duplicate rows remain in the output. All right, this is it. Thank you for watching.